Hey guys, it's Jeremy. I want to show you a few things with ProPresenter Stage Display. Some stuff specifically for the piece that we're doing this weekend, kind of introducing some new ideas as far as how to use the stage display. I want to preface this by saying, number one, stage display also refers to the confidence monitor. The ProPresenter software just refers to that as the stage display. We often refer to the TV at the front row as a confidence monitor, so you can kind of use those terms interchangeably, so don't get confused by that. Secondly, normally we use the stage display pretty much standard all the time, and we don't really mess with it. And I want to show you some options that might be helpful for the creative piece this weekend and for in the future, but please don't feel obligated to use any of this stuff. It's important that you guys kind of work with your actors in this case to figure out what's best for you. We're not going to say centrally that everybody should do it one particular way. Because ultimately, we value the standard of impact over the standard of delivery. So if something different works better for you, I encourage you guys to go with it. But I'm going to show you a couple of options with the stage display in ProPresenter that might be helpful. And also a couple of minor things that might be helpful. You can actually view your stage display here in the preview by hitting Command 3 or going up to Window and hitting Stage Display Preview. That'll toggle this preview monitor here to show either your main output or your stage display output. So it can be helpful, especially if you're working on setting something up offline. Your stage display templates will need to be set up on your production machines. It's not going to be something that can be done offline and exported to your machines, at least that I know of. So if you guys know differently, comment below because that'd be awesome. But so let's kind of go over the flow for it. First off, this is what you're going to receive from Central. It's on the server if you haven't downloaded it already. Basically, it has the script for the piece loaded in to the foreground. And if you go into Edit and look on this tab here, you'll also see that the same copy text is loaded into the stage display notes field to give you guys the most flexibility to build your stage display the way you need it. First thing you'll probably want to do is to drop your video in. You'll want to drop it in as a background. So if you drop it on top of the slide, that will load it as a background. And then, of course, you're going to want to go and change the behavior of it to stop so that it does not repeat when you're done. The reason you want to do that is if you're using the script, if that video is a foreground, you're going to cut off the video, and we don't want that, or you might risk cutting off the video. So that's loaded in, and then next you will see that there's a stage display cue here. This is a suppress cue, so it is going to not show that text on your main output, kind of like we've done for some songs in the past and everything. So it's important that that suppress cue is after the video. If it's before, that may disrupt actually playing the video, and that's not going to be good. So it can be on the same slide as your first block of text. That's not a problem. It will still hide it. And then, of course, at the end, there's an enable cue. So this also, loading it in as foreground, means that your operator is not going to have any trouble following along, regardless of how you build your stage display. So the next piece of the puzzle is to actually build your stage display the way you need it. Shortcut to that would be Command 4, or you can go up here to configure stage display. You can also get to it through the preferences, but it's quicker to go about it this way. So normally everybody just has one stage display layout, which might be named default, might be named something else. But you don't want to mess with that because you're going to need that for your other songs and everything. So if you come here and hit plus button here and then rename it something that makes sense, we'll do live slide. And then I'll show you building it one way, and then show you building it a different way depending on what works for you guys. So basically, if you only want the script notes on the confidence monitor, you can get away with your just regular default stage display layout. And if that's what you want to do, you can stop watching this video right now. If you want to see the live video on your confidence monitor, you'll want to create a new stage display layout. And then there's a couple things you're going to want to do. First off, let's take out everything that we don't need. So we're going to take away next slide, chord charts, the messages stuff, Planning Center Live, all that kind of stuff. And this is kind of about what's left that we want to see. Next, on your current slide field here where it says text only, you're going to want to change that to live slide. So that will show the video when it's playing in this box here. Now remember, if we're using the stage display suppress cues, which means that the foreground will not display on your live output to your screens. So those notes won't show up here in this current slide box. So that's why the script text is also in the notes field. So these fields, current slide notes and next slide notes, are fields that we don't normally have in our confidence monitor, our stage display layout. So that's important here because that's how you're going to get your script if you also want to see the live video over here. So let's go ahead and make sure that we kind of set our font sizes. So basically I just put real big numbers in here so that the font will kind of grow with the box on the stage display layout as needed. And then we can kind of adjust our layout around to suit what works best for you. So I was kind of coming up with something along these lines, but you can do something different if that's what works for you. And I didn't do the font size thing correctly, so let's see if we can figure that out. Yeah. So this box is a max font size, so I needed to do that on the slide notes field as well, so that the font increases in size in those boxes. So then you can kind of do this a little bit. Alright, cool. So we've made a layout that's going to show our live video, and it's also going to show our script notes at the same time. So let's toggle over to our stage display preview, and let's punch through and see what this looks like. So we've got our live video,
New Point
which
Community
shows up
Church.
right here.
It's our name. It's how we present ourselves to the world, and the first thing
And
the
you
world
see the
knows
script
about
notes
us.
down
But
here
what
below.
does the word community really mean?
Okay.
How far does New Point's community impact go?
So that's how to set it up. Now let's look at how to actually work it during a service. So let's come down here to our service. We'll punch into here. So if you let's kind of reset everything back to normal. If you right click on the slide before the video, you can add a cue and add a stage display layout cue and switch your stage display layout to live slide. So you're going to see another little stage display cue icon here, and that's going to change your stage display layout to your live slide layout that you created before. A manual way to switch it is to come up here to the window menu, go to stage display, and you can change your layout right here. So that's a good backup in case something gets messed up. And it might be good the first couple times that you guys do this to have your operators switch to their stage display preview here during a service because most people do not have the capability of monitoring their stage display feed back at front of house location. So that might be helpful to make sure that you're showing the folks on stage the right thing that they need to see. And then here on the last black slide, You can add a stage display layout cue to switch back to default. And so let's punch through this. We've got the video going, which, by the way, you also have the video countdown timer, which may or may not be helpful. You can turn that on or off as needed.
But what does the word
This slide suppresses
really
the output so it doesn't go over your slide.
Go?
Remember, this is what we're viewing on screen right now.
Last
This
year
is
on
your stage
Community
display,
Impact Day,
and you follow along
1,379 of you took
as
church
needed.
to the community.
So let's kind of punch through
144 projects
to the end.
in one day from Stark to Coshocton counties.
And once you
But
click
you
that,
there.
it'll switch back to your normal stage display layout view.
Impacting over 1,000 students per week in your local school.
So let's kind of reset back to normal. We also, that's interesting. Okay, so we have the suppression. We have the stage display layout cue. And then we have this one. I'm just going to change the stage display layout, but it did not change our suppress. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is good behavior that we are seeing during the video. This is very good to see this now. It looks like that ProPresenter can only have one stage display cue on the slide at one time. So there are two things that you'll have to do coming out of this piece. One, you need to re-enable your foreground output. Two, you need to change your stage display layout. So you're going to need to have two cues. And so let's remove this so we know what we're doing. So we'll add cue. We'll change this to stage display layout, and just to help you know, do slide label. And then we will add a enable cue here, which you could also put your enable cue on your next slide coming out of this if that's less confusing for your operator. But the main thing to know is that you're going to need two separate stage display cues to reset things back to normal. So let's name this enable foreground, and let's spell it right. Okay. So one other thing that you can also do, let's go back to configure stage display. One campus said that it was more helpful for them to just have the live video on the confidence monitor without the slide notes or the script cues. So you would still need to change your stage display layout, but instead of having the current slide notes and the next slide notes in here, all you would need would be your current slide, switch that over to live slide here, and then add your clocks as you want. And then you can just leave current slide notes, next slide notes unchecked, and just only put your current slide, which is set to the live slide view, on your confidence monitor. And then all of your stage display layout cues and whatnot, you can do the same way that we already showed in this video. So, okay, I hope that helps. If you have any questions, let me know on Slack, or if you're a YouTuber and you're watching this video, welcome to our channel. I hope you find this helpful. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment below. And yeah, have a great weekend. Thanks, guys.